Hey guys, I decided with this video not just to send it via email to all my friends and family who are already on my list, but also to post it on Facebook for all of my friends. So for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, this is a story of what's been going on in my life, specifically my journey through this year-long Bible school that I joined called Impact 195 through the Rock Church. So I started that back in May, and I have previous videos that kind of give more of a backstory. So if you want to watch any of those, or you want to continue receiving updates about these videos, just message me and I'll send them to you. Back to the story. This week marks the end of my first out of 3 terms, and I'm about to start a month-long break. Time has really flown by, and I feel like every week God's teaching me new truths about my identity with Him and His promises for my life. It's just really incredible how quickly things change when your environment, when you choose to seek and serve God on a daily basis. Like, you might talk to me on Monday, and I might be really sad or going through a tough time financially and really struggling and not knowing how ends are going to meet. But then by Wednesday, it's all cleared up and God teaches me how He provides and shows me how to trust Him. Or the same thing might happen next week where I'm dealing with a friendship or relational problem, and then just as quickly it changes and it gets all resolved. Romans 8:28 says, "And I know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him and who are called according to His purpose." What I learned last week in Romans class is that although that's a super popular verse and it's commonly used to encourage people in almost every situation, in order to fully understand what it means, you have to understand God's version of the word good. Good means 3 things: something that refines our faith, something that strengthens our hope, and something that draws us closer to God. So in other words, our sanctification. It becomes easy to see in hindsight that some of the most difficult situations we walk through in life are actually some of the most effective at refining our faith. So by this definition, those situations are good. Also, some of the times we're at our greatest need is when we feel closest to God. So those situations are good as well. So by this definition, my life has been really good. But if you actually let that truth sink in, the way God's been slowly sinking it into my heart, it kind of changes your perspective altogether to where you can go through the most difficult, trying, deepest valley of your life with a smile on your face, knowing that that situation is as well good. In my job with Southwestern Advantage, I learned that the size of your problem is inversely proportional to the size of your perspective. So if your perspective is small, let's say like the next hour as you're trying to make it to work on time, then like a 5-10 minute delay in traffic becomes a big problem. But that same traffic delay on the perspective of a year of your life basically disappears. So if we can remind ourselves that the problems we're going through are in fact good and they're refining our faith, drawing us closer to God, things like that, then we can maintain that eternal perspective where all the problems we get faced with become really, really small. So my prayer for you is that God allows that truth to sink in, and that whatever situation you're going through, you choose to have a bigger perspective on what's going on, and that problem becomes less overwhelming. And that's how we can have that peace that transcends all understanding that it talks about in Philippians 4:7. If any of you guys would like prayer with what you're going through, just reach out to me, and I'd love to keep you guys in prayer. Now that I've given you guys a fun little nugget of God's goodness, I want to share with you all the different things that are on my plate. And there's 7 main things that I'm involved in. The first is Impact 195. So I go to school about 20 hours a week, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And that consists of classes. We do everything from classes on the books of the Bible, like Mark and Romans, to classes on the attributes of God, classes on relationships. We also have memory verses that we do. So I've been practicing memorizing scripture. We also have a lot of community things where we get together in small groups and share life with each other. We do a lot of outreaches. Twice a week I do trips, everything from serving at a thrift shop to a food bank, to praying for homeless people, to going to Mission Beach and praying for people on the beach. And there's opportunities for missions trips. So I'm not going on one on this break, but usually the month-long breaks that we have between each term, we go on missions trips. And my goal is that by next term, over the December term, I'll be able to go on a missions trip. So I'm really excited about that. Cool. So the second thing I'm involved in is the college ministry. And it's one of the first things I got plugged into when I started going to the Rock Church back in the fall of 2014. And back then with work, I was so busy I didn't really have a lot of time that I was in the ministry. But since I joined Impact back in May, I've really given a lot of time to the ministry and really been growing in that. This past year and a half, though, our college pastor's been discipling a group of leaders to sort of take over a lot of the tasks so that this year we can really expand. So it's a really exciting time to be involved in the ministry. Just to give you an idea of like our church and the college atmosphere here in San Diego, our church has 5 different locations. We've got one in Point Loma, one in North County in San Marcos, one in East County in El Cajon, one in San Isidro in the south, and one in City Heights. And as far as colleges, we've got San Diego State University, or SDSU, with over 33,000 students. UCSD, or University of California, San Diego, which has just as many. We've got Cal State San Marcos, which has over 10,000. We've got USD, University of San Diego, which is a private Catholic university, over 8,000. Point Loma Nazarene University, which I went to, private Christian, which has over 2,500, and San Diego Christian College with under 1,000 students. And then we've got a bunch of community colleges and city colleges as well. As far as our ministry, last year we had weekly meetings at San Diego State University and at the Rock Church Point Loma campus. But this year we're hoping to expand to Rock County North County campus, as well as UCSD. Sort of the third thing I'm involved in is my role with the college ministry this next year. I've been blessed with the opportunity to co-lead our weekly meeting at the Point Loma Rock Church campus. So I'll be responsible for discipling and leading a group of leaders that will take care of the tasks each week. On top of that, since I'm an alumni of Point Loma Nazarene University, I've really been meeting with a lot of the faculty to get those students more involved, since they're only 3 miles away and they have a free shuttle that drives them off campus to the grocery store next to our church. So I'm trying to get more students involved in our ministry, as well as trying to reach out to USD, or University of San Diego. Both these universities are private religious schools, so there's some unique restrictions with meeting on their campus. So that's what's cool about being able to invite them to our weekly meeting at the Rock Church. And on top of being able to lead and shepherd all the students there, I'm really excited to be able to have opportunities to use my gifts in teaching and speaking as well. So that's going to be cool. The fourth thing I do is serving on Sundays. So our college ministry has sort of been trying to take over the 6 p.m. service at our church and trying to get a lot of the young adult and college age students to go at that service. So we're trying to have all our ministry leaders run all the different tasks at church. So I've been doing for a while is helping with the info booth on the hospitality team. So I run that desk right at the front, answer people's questions, tell them how to get plugged in. A lot of times the pastor will send people out to us to ask specific questions. So that's been really fun. And the other thing our ministry has started is after the 6 p.m. service, we've started serving tacos and having games and food and stuff for people to stay after and fellowship longer. The fifth thing I do is I've been leading a life group in my house since February. So that's been really cool, being able to invite. I do a young adult men's group, so a bunch of guys to come in and pour into their life, study the Bible together, and really develop some key supportive relationships, and really be able to pour into their lives. That's been really fun, and excited with my role in the college ministry this year to help lead other leaders to start their own life groups. The sixth thing I do is I volunteer with Rock Films. So one of the advantages of going to such a big church is they have a film department. So aside from coming in and edit, I also get to shoot some things and be a part of some of the major shoots. This one specifically was really fun. I'll put a link where you can watch that video if you want to see the full thing, but I was also an extra in it, so you can see if you can find me. And lastly, obviously there's work. As you can tell, my schedule's been pretty full. so it's really difficult to regularly schedule times to drive for Lyft and Uber, which is one of my main sources of income. So this break, I'll really be putting in a lot of hours trying to make up as much money as possible. On top of Lyft and Uber, I'm also working with a company called Sell Me Books, where I can buy used college textbooks from professors and sell them back to students for a lower cost to lower their cost of education. So I'll plan to do that a lot during the day and drive for Uber and Lyft at night. So that should do pretty well for myself. And then on top of that, I've been brewing kombucha. I did it as a hobby before, but so many people liked it and were willing to pay and support my tuition with it. So I've made several $100s doing that. For those of you who don't know what kombucha is, it's a fermented probiotic tea that has many health benefits, helping with your digestion and different things like that. Google it. It's pretty interesting. But on top of paying for my monthly bills, I also have to pay for my tuition at Impact 195. Thanks to work, fundraisers, discounts, and gifts, generous gifts from a lot of you guys, my $6,000 in tuition is now down to about $1,600 that I have to pay off sometime in September at the latest. But also God's put it on my heart to want to go on an international missions trip over December, which in order to even sign up for that trip, I'd have to pay off all of my tuition. And then on top of that, that'd be another $3,000 for that trip. So I have a long ways to go. Thankfully, thanks to my old job running my own business and working 80 hours a week, I'm willing to put in the time to earn my financial needs. But if any of my story spoke to you, or you want to partner with me in any of the ministries that I'm involved in, I would really appreciate your support at any level. The good news is that with what I have left in tuition, I have about 60 people that receive this email. And if each one of you guys only gave $30, it'd pay for all of my tuition, which is really awesome. But if you guys would like to give, you can always feel free to message me, but I'll explain it in the info section below. And here's a link to the video that will show you how to give online. So I'd love your support. Thanks again for watching. And if you guys want to subscribe to my future updates, just message me and I'll add you to my newsletter. And again, if you want to receive some of the older videos as well, you can request those too. If this story feels like something you want to share with other friends, feel free to share this video as well. But I'll see you guys in the next one.